Hey everyone, this is Holly from Hot Humble Pie. Today we are going to be crafting some beautiful fall decor, and as always, I hope you enjoy the show. And if you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, I'd love it if you click that button. I grabbed some of this Dollar Tree fall fabric. I think it is so beautiful this year. Look at those prints. Oh my gosh. And then I cut out a shape like this, and I folded some computer paper and I'm putting it on the fold right there, and we're going to cut it out. And it's kind of like the shape of an eyeball. I don't know how else to describe that, but you're going to need a shape like that. And then I'm using these double-sided sticky tape pieces here that I also got from Dollar Tree. I just found it's a lot easier. You could also just use masking tape if that's what you have, but I just want to hold my shape in place. And it was really wiggly, so I also took advantage of the clamps there from Dollar Tree. You could use clothes pegs if you don't have clamps, but I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. And this is what it looks like when you're all done. So there was some wrinkles here and you really want to get those out. And I just use a little bit of water in a Dollar Tree spray bottle and I spray the wrinkles out. It works great. Watch, I'm just kind of ironing it with my hand. Although I did just purchase a small mini iron to try because it was on sale on Amazon for like $9.99. I thought, I'll just get that just in case I need that. But I've been doing this with my clothing for years where I just stand there and spritz myself. And I will just keep smoothing my outfit down, whatever I'm wearing, and it works. So it's a quick hack to get wrinkles out for sure. So here I get really bold and brave, you guys. I decide I want to cut 3 of these out at a time and I don't want them to wiggle. So I use the masking tape. I use more than one of those Dollar Tree clamps, and there you go, 3, and it worked. They came out really nice and even, but you've got to keep these guys, you have to hold them really tight so they don't wiggle when you're cutting. So once I have all my shapes cut out, I'm going to organize them in a pattern. You can do this however you want, but I just kind of wanted to go every other so that they would meet on the other side. It doesn't really matter because when you're done with this project, it's not necessarily going to be noticeable. And then you're going to go ahead and clip them together, and you're going to glue the outer edge like you see me doing there on the right hand side, so that when you open it, the 2 prints, so not the back side of the fabric, the other side where the print is, will be facing on the same side. So you'll see right there, see how I do that, and you can see the print is on the same side. And you're just going to keep doing this and repeating this until you finish all of them. So you don't need to glue the top and you don't really need to glue the bottom, you're just gluing the sides, because we're going to be finishing this up, and you'll see why in a minute here, why we don't need to glue the top and the bottom. But make sure you take your time, and note to self, see how I'm gluing and I'm leaving that much fabric to the right hanging off. I would guess it's like 1/8 of an inch. I did end up having to trim that closer to the glue. It looked better. So try to glue closer to the edge and just use a good quality hot glue. And of course, we're going to seal it all up now. So we've made like a complete circle. When you open it up, that's what you have right there. Isn't that pretty? Oh my gosh, I'm telling you, you guys, these fabrics, look at that. That is nice fabric. Usually the Dollar Tree fabric is, it leaves a lot to be desired, but they really upped their game this year. It's really pretty. So now I just used a circle shape. I had some masking tape that was the right shape. You'll have to kind of figure out what circle you need. And we're just going to put this on the bottom because you can see that I've already kind of stuffed it a little bit there, and I'm just putting it in the bottom. You do need to stuff it just enough to open it up so that you have, when you're gluing it down, it's going to catch all of those little pieces, and you want those spread out more similar to how they're going to be once this is fully stuffed when you glue your bottom down, if that makes sense. So I did resort to the needle. I had stuffed this so full, it was overstuffed almost, because that's how I liked it. I just wanted to plump out those pieces so you could see the designs, that I turned to thread. And all I'm doing here is literally just looping it in and out, just in and out my needle. And then I'm going to pull really hard like this to pull it all together. You can glue, but for whatever reason, it just wasn't cooperating with me. Maybe my fabric wasn't stretchy. I'm not sure, but I did have to pull it with the thread, and I just felt like that gave me a little bit more control as well. See how I'm kind of shaping it with my hand as I'm pulling, and when I had everything where I wanted it to be, again, I'm holding in place for that next, we have the bottom, which was a circle, and then you have to put something on the top. I decided to go with this light colored burlap. You can see it right there to the right, and I used gobs and gobs of glue, as you can see. But this is basically what's holding everything in place. And of course, you can tie it with the thread if you want and pull it shut that way and just do it different. But I thought the burlap looked pretty anyway. I was planning on putting something like this on the top. This, I wanted to keep it mostly in a fabric theme, I guess. I didn't want to go too much like a craft with the Spanish moss or anything like that. I definitely wanted to keep it like this. This is a perfect pumpkin for like your bedroom. It's so pretty when it's done. Oh my goodness. So I ended up taking some of the nautical rope from Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to go around the bottom a little bit because my stem was extra tall and I thought it looked kind of weird. You don't have to do this. And I went, I think, around 2 times. Now I'm taking the Dollar Tree burlap fall leaves right there, and I'm just using a piece of it. And I just thought the burlap, again, went better because this is a fabric craft. So I thought, well, the burlap, at least we're kind of staying in the theme here. And I glued the orange and the burgundy one on top, just like this. Next, I'm taking the wire. I don't know if you saw that I pulled the wire off of the leaf, the maple leaf. I actually pulled the stem off, and that stem makes a perfect, soft, nice little, I call them curly cues. I don't know what these are called on a pumpkin, but I think they're so cute. And I just tucked it under the nautical rope, and we're all done. And I don't know what it is about this particular craft, but it just gives me such a feeling of coffee and cozy fall days and pumpkin spice. And I just really feel the entire vibe when I look at this little pumpkin. I'd like to make 2 or 3 of these. You can make them in different sizes, but again, I think they're great for like your bedroom for a little fall decor. Let me know what you think. Now, this is a fun hack. I thought of this all by myself, you guys. I have been trying for years to figure out how to stick the fabric down onto something that will go through my printer and not wiggle around. And I've seen people, I was too afraid to do it with a glue stick because the glue stick sometimes does ooze through, and I don't want to get glue on my printer heads. And I've seen people spray, I guess, like an adhesive down on paper. And again, I just didn't want to put glue through my printer heads. I thought, nope, that's not going to work for me. I need something that will hold it, but that will hold it much softer. And, so it sticks and stays in place, but it doesn't actually make its way through the fabric and risk damaging the heads of my printer. So this is what I came up with, and it works like a charm. Oh my gosh, I am so pleased with myself. I couldn't wait to share this with you guys. So you can see here, I just peeled the entire sheet off of the sticker paper, and then I stuck that fabric down. Now you do need to work with thinner fabric, like a cotton or a muslin, just something really thin. I used once, at a thrift store, I found like a bed skirt, and like the part that lays on top of the mattress, I did use that once. And anyway, that worked as well, and it was cheap. So I'm showing you here my first attempt with the paper. It didn't go well. It got stuck, and I thought, oh no, it's not going to work. No problem. I just ended up taking some cardstock. It just needs a little bit more of a firm, at least my fabric did. It needed more of a firm backing, and then look, it goes right through. So all I did was just put it on top of cardstock and tape it on the top, put it through again, and you can see it works perfectly. I was so excited. So this is going to be my to-go-to for printing on fabric. It doesn't risk your printer heads. It's easy and non-toxic, right? You're not spraying adhesives, because those, if you read I have one. I think I told you guys this. I got a stencil spray, which is essentially the same thing. And when I read the ingredients and the warnings, I just thought, I don't want to use that. I just don't want to breathe that stuff in. I craft a lot, and I don't want to kill myself. This is, of course, my humor. But anyway, it worked perfectly. So there you go. Another hack from Hot Humble Pie. So I am using burnt umber paint on this Dollar Tree sign, and I am taking the string off the bottom where the holes are, because we're going to make that end the bottom end of this craft. And I used the burnt umber paint because I just need this to be a little bit darker for the next thing that we're going to do. And now I'm adding some school glue. It's just regular old school glue, nothing fancy here. And I'm just going to haphazardly smear it all around. I'm not doing it all over the craft. I'm just doing it in sections. And I blow dry it just till it gets a little bit tacky, and then I paint white paint just on those areas with the glue. And actually I do go a little bit around those areas too. I'm really, when I say haphazardly, that's probably an understatement because I'm trying a new method here. I wanted a completely different distressed look. But you see when you're blow drying how you get those cracks, that's what the glue does. And it didn't work everywhere, unfortunately, because I think the glue dried too much. So you definitely want to do it when the glue is still kind of tacky. But yeah, it just, if you want a distressed look, and I personally particularly love that look during fall. You know, it doesn't have to be all year round, and I don't always like it for everything, but for fall, it is supposed to be rustic. It is just, people go to pumpkin patches, they go to farms. It's like, that is the rustic, farmy type, woodsy. That is the time to make it a little bit distressed. So I want to try this method here. I just thought it would be fun. I'm taking this tool here from the Dollar Tree. It's like a little knife, and I'm using that to spread the paint. Now, it does work better on real wood, so I had to kind of like spread and then add scratches. You can see what I'm doing there. I spread, add scratches, and I'm just going for a really, really rustic vibe here. I saw this on Facebook. Somebody was doing it on real wood with a spatula, and I thought, oh, I'll try that with a Dollar Tree sign. And of course, the Dollar Tree sign does not have the same texture as wood, right? It's flat. So that's why I use the glue and stuff. But I think all in all, it came up really good. I mean, look at that. That definitely looks like an old chippy board to me. It'll pass. So that is a fun thing to do with your Dollar Tree signs. And of course, this sign didn't have any more texture than any other Dollar Tree sign, so it would work with any sign. Just make sure you get in there with the glue and put the glue on kind of thick, make it chunky. Don't be scared to kind of give it texture because that's what adds to the look. Next, we're using this canvas bag. I got about 3 of them at the Dollar Tree with different prints. And this one I thought, I'm not going to make a pillow. I'm going to use this for this project instead. I like to challenge myself with the canvas bags because so many people just grab them and stuff them and make them pillows, and I'm sure you guys have seen that hundreds of times before. So I thought, here's another thing you can do with it because it is pretty. And I'm just making a little pocket on the bottom of this sign. So this is why I mentioned I cut off the twine, and the holes on the bottom, I knew I could hide it by putting this around it, right? And I'm going to put a hanger on the back of this and just get rid of the holes altogether. So you don't need to worry about filling them in with spackling or anything like that because they're just going to disappear with this craft. So I glued that all the way around, as you can see, like a little pocket or pillowcase around the back. And here we go with our fabric printed piece. And you see, I'm just going to peel it off the sticker paper. Boom. And you've got a beautiful print, and we're going to add this to the front. Now, as it turns out, I actually ended up really loving that ink at the bottom where it kind of got caught and blurred and made a mess because I am making a distressed craft. And I thought, wow, that's like the only part of that print that looks distressed, Holly. You got to work on that. So I started fraying the ends and gluing it down. I did end up covering that with some burlap, you'll see in a bit here. Anyway, I just go about gluing that on top of the canvas little pocket that we made at the bottom, and I don't worry about the back of my crafts. I know some people like to finish it. You can always take whatever craft you make and add brown paper to the back, especially if you're selling them. I don't sell them, and I don't look behind them, I guess, when they're hanging on my wall, so I'm not worried about it. But anyway, we are moving on here to the distressing part because I did need to distress this. And of course, if you have more time, you can soak your fabric in coffee or tea or even watered down brown paint. I didn't know I was going to do this until the last minute, and I was so excited. I thought, you know what, we'll just use paint and it still looks good. So I just took a sponge brush right here and a little bit of the burnt umber, and I basically have hardly any paint left on the sponge. And I hate to say it, but I'm kind of like dirtying it up. I'm making it dirty. I am. It's, it's supposed to be like old wood, and I wanted that part to look old too, and it's fall. So this is what we're doing. Same thing with these leaves. I love these fall leaves at the Dollar Tree. I think they're so pretty, but man, are they fluorescent. I'm like, that does not look, they can look a little cheap if they're too bright, for sure. Now, I made a craft not too long ago, for those of you that follow me on my channel, where I needed them bright because I was hanging it on my front door and it fades really quick, so I'm grateful for it being bright. But with this particular craft, I took some watered down burnt umber paint and a paper towel, and I'm just kind of soaking each leaf there to tone it down, and look how pretty that looks. I mean, that really just levels those up to a high-end fall floral pick, I guess, from like a cheap dollar store one. So that's a nice little hack too. You can always make your leaves a little darker. I've done that before in previous videos, but I always try and do new things because there's new people watching. Or I don't do new things, I mention it again because, well, I do new things. But I mean, if I'm doing something that I did before, I mention it because there's new people watching. So I'm taking some more of the Dollar Tree burlap, little fall leaves right there. I put them in, and then I decided I like the orange one better in front, so I moved it back to the front. I added the little pumpkin. That's this year's pumpkin that I got. And these little velvet mini pumpkins here, I also use those. And I just go about embellishing this, and I'm gluing pumpkins everywhere because it says New England Premium Quality Pumpkin Seeds, 1852. Isn't that perfect? Don't all of you think of New England when you think of fall? That's, I heard, Vermont and New England are some of the most beautiful places for fall. Although I live on the East Coast now, and it is absolutely stunning. Boy, was I missing out. This side of the United States is definitely, in my opinion, much prettier than the West Coast. The West Coast has a different kind of beauty. If you like big mountains and ocean, then that's got that kind of beauty. But if you really look forward to the four seasons, which I love, it's beautiful on this side of the United States, and I'm guessing the Midwest is similar. So I took a little lace bow and some raffia there. I also glued that underneath. And then I'm taking some of this wired twine, and I'm just spinning it around a paintbrush. I love to add these little curlicues in there with fall stuff. Sometimes Christmas too. I just think it adds cuteness. I don't know. It just, especially because it gets the vibe like the pumpkin has it. So even if you're not making a pumpkin, it still looks kind of cute in your craft. And I went ahead, made one of those. I did end up having to glue the twine around the wire because the wire was peeking out. And then this is the wire again from, oh no, I stand corrected. This is Walmart wire. I believe it is 16 gauge, and that's a really heavy duty, nice wire. I bought it a few months back, twirled that to make another curl. And then that's the part of the burlap that I told you I was covering the ink stain at the bottom. I did end up putting the burlap little ribbon strip there. I just thought that looked cute. And I'm gluing a hanger on the back. And all I'm doing is taking and using the Surebonder hot glue, and I'm going to use the handles from the canvas bag that we used. I usually use tape, but I thought it would be fun to try this instead. If it falls off the wall, I will go back to the duct tape. But for now, this is what we have. And look at this, you guys. Does that not scream fall? Oh my gosh, this is so pretty. I see these all the time. Not the exact same one, but I see things like this online, and I've always wanted to make one. And again, never really knew how to print onto fabric, and we nailed it. So super excited. And of course, that will be a free printable down below in my description box for you guys. For this one, you're going to grab one of those Dollar Tree foam pumpkins, a lace doily, and some kind of embellishment. I'm choosing those little pearls from the Dollar Tree. I've seen them in one Dollar Tree that has, well, they're notorious for carrying things from days gone past. I'm not sure if they're carrying those pearls anymore currently in the Dollar Trees that, they tend to get the new arrivals. Someone let me know down below in the comments if you guys have seen those recently, but that's what we're going to use. And I just tore the fabric off, and we're going to cover this in lace. Now, this would be a great 5-minute DIY for those of you that love it fast and furious. This is so fun, and it makes your pumpkin look so high-end. And for those of you also that enjoy like a French country look, that's what you have in your home, or you just like a feminine looking kind of pumpkins, or you want a feminine touch, or maybe you want to put it in a bathroom. There's all different places you can put a little bit of fall in your home just to bring the season into your home. This is a great idea, and it's so simple. You don't even have to paint the pumpkin. I'm just covering it with the lace doily. That's it. So here's the Dollar Tree pearl. Stick around to the end too, you guys. I can't wait to show you. This comes up so unexpectedly beautiful. Oh my gosh, I love this one. So I cut off 2 rows of the pearls, but any kind of pretty decor trim, anything, the Dollar Tree sometimes comes up with unexpected things that you can purchase, little tiny beads on a string. Just look for any kind of decorative embellishment, I guess. You can absolutely use those instead of these in case they're not selling these anymore, and it will look just as beautiful. But this is just, it's more the lace doily. I know they sell those for sure, and that's the part that is so fast and easy and looks so high-end when you're done. So I'm using the 2 rows right there of pearls, and I go every other groove. So you know how the pumpkin has little grooves in it, right? I think I go every other like this. I'm not sure if it was even every, I think, yeah, it was every other. I think on one side they go back to back, and on the other side I skip one. I don't know. I just thought it looked pretty like that, but you can just use the grooves. That's what I'm doing to stick your embellishment in. And then I put the stem back in, and I thought, ooh, that's way too dark for this. This is definitely a very, if you do like a neutral fall, again, French country or cottage type look in your house, this is perfect. And I thought I need to just lighten this up a little bit. So I'm just taking a little bit of the color beige from Apple Barrel Paint, and I'm doing just kind of, we can see what I'm doing. I'm just kind of doing a quick little dry brush. It doesn't matter if it's transparent. That's what it's supposed to be. It looks even better. It makes it look more woodsy. And I add some of these green leaves. These are just leftover leaves from some Dollar Tree florals. I cut them off. And then when I was done, I put some, you know how I talk about the curlicues? For this particular craft, because it's so light and soft and elegant, when I went to put a dark curlicue on it, it just looked overpowering. It looked awful. So I ended up grabbing the stem from, see the leaves that I'm using? That's left over from Dollar Tree florals, right? There's a stem that I also have, and it's green. And that's what I end up doing right here. So you can see I'm twirling it, and the green curlicue went beautifully with this. So I don't know. You can see I had really briefly, I had the dark curlicue ready to go, and I thought, ooh, that looks harsh, just like the stem looked out of place. And this time I just lift the stem up and I tuck it underneath the stem and kind of push it down into the foam. But look at how gorgeous this is. Oh my, this startled me because I thought this is one of those less is more for sure, but it's elegant. Even in the Dollar Tree Plus section, I have never seen a pumpkin like this that looks this elegant. This is so perfect for people who kind of have that high-end look in their home. It would even go with a bling look, like if you like it kind of glittery in your home, it's perfect for that. Let me know what you think in the comments. For this project, you're going to need these supplies, and that is actually a print, the plaid print underneath, and I will have that again down below in my description box so you guys can use it if you need it. And we're going to start off by painting this with the Apple Barrel paint in pewter gray, and I did end up, that's a Christmas straw by the way. You guys probably noticed that. I did end up having to give that 2 coats, the straw, because it was transparent. And after everything was dry, I'm just taking my sponge and very dry brushing. Again, hardly any paint. That's what I do right there. I kind of rub my sponge brush on the paper until there's hardly any paint left. And I put a little white on, and then I wanted to tone even that down. So I put a little bit of gray over the white just to give the cup character again, or the mug character. I just don't like it when it's all flat. Dimension looks pretty. And I'm doing the same thing with the straw. Now we're going to use some of this Fast and Final lightweight spackling. I love this spackling. It is so nice, especially for faux whipped cream. And we're going to, well, put a little bit of faux whipped cream on the top of this mug. I thought that would be fun. So just using a craft stick here, and you just work with it. I did end up going from one edge to the other. I didn't follow the exact pattern of the Dollar Tree whipped cream. I kind of went like a straight line across this. And then I took some cinnamon while it was still wet, and I put a little bit on the top. Isn't that cute? So we're going to set that aside and let it dry. And then I have this sad, beaten up, it was a sign that was on my crafting table, and it actually got sprayed with dirt from crafting and paint. And I thought, you know, we need to give you a facelift and make it pretty there. And here's the plaid I was telling you about. So I chose a really soft gray and brown hues, the plaid. That's what I was going for. And we're just going to take this and glue it on to this sign. Now, I did need to paint the words first to cover up the words because it was showing through. So I just did a little bit of white paint for that. And you saw me using a little bit of the gray pewter paint as well to paint the frame because the frame was covered in paint and just stains and stuff from, from it sitting too close to my crafting area, I guess. Everything would splash on it. So that's what we're doing. And then we're using the Dollar Tree glue stick. It doesn't have to be a fancy glue stick here. And we're just going to glue that plaid paper down as the back. Isn't that pretty? I just thought this would be a nice look or a different look for fall. And I saw something on Pinterest a while ago that inspired me too. I thought that's so cute, but I couldn't find it again. But I had a vague memory of what they did. It wasn't exactly like this, but I thought it was cute. This is a great way to add like a shelf sitter or a little sign somewhere for, look at how cute. And I'm putting the towering block behind it because we need to lift it up a little bit so we don't squish that straw. And now these are table scatter pieces here. I've never seen them before. They're new to me at my Dollar Tree. I love them. They were so pretty when I took them out of the package. I didn't realize how nice they were. And I'm going to use this for this craft, but I just wanted to tone it down a little bit. I did almost put it on without any paint on it, but it was the wrong color brown. It was kind of like a root beer color, and the cinnamon is very warm, so it clashed. It didn't look right, so I painted it, or I sponged it a little bit, left some of it peeking through on purpose, and sprinkled it with cinnamon, and you'll see me blow it off. Look. Right there, I blew it off. But hey, now we kind of got like a marshmallow vibe going on. It just, the whole vibe right there. I love this. This is such a happy little piece to me. One of my favorites for sure. This is going to be on my entry table because I think it is so cute. Maybe my shelf in my kitchen. I have like a hutch in my kitchen I could put this on too. But either way, I love this one. Let me know which one was your favorite in today's video. And of course, as always, if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, comment, share. And here's another one I think you might enjoy watching next.